My name is Rosemary Duplessis. I'm the research coordinator for this particular project, but I'm very much a member of a team. And next to me here is Helen Gibson. Next to her is Judith Sutherland, and next to her is Liz Gordon. And we're members of the Women's Voices Research Committee, but behind us stand more than 40 volunteer interviewers, and then behind them stand 150 women who told their stories for this project.
This is where the Movers and Shakers report resides online on the Community Research website. And here you get a summary and a description, and then you've got the download button. And you can download it and you get the whole thing, 390 odd pages will pop into your inbox for your reading and edification.
This is the Women's Voices website on UC Quake Studies, which is part of the UC Seismic Digital Archive. And this is where you can find lots of material generated by the Women's Voices project. There's a little bit of information about the project, and you can see that there are 3 folders. One folder has the interview material, Women's Voices interviews. Another folder in the middle there has the interviewer profiles, and the other folder has information about the project. So there is a document there where you can access information about how we actually did it, and you can also access our consent forms and the interview questions. I'm going now to the folder that includes the interviews, which is the key folder on this project. It comes up with some information about the project, and you'll see here that we've got 9 pages where you can access the stories of the individual women who participated in this project. I'm going to go to the oral history interview that was done with Anna Mowat, who was a young mother whose home was in Littleton, and she tells a story within her overall story of what it was like to be in a taxi on Papanui Road when the 22nd February quake struck. In her case, we've got an audio recording, which is the interview with Anna Mowat. We've got a text, which is a summary of her interview, and here we've got 2 little extracts of the video of her talking about her experiences. Here is Anna Mowat's story. There's always something in every story about people's life before the earthquakes. This talks about Anna's family life. Then there's discussion of her quake experiences, what she did immediately after the quake, and then her post-quake experiences. And all the interviews have that sort of format. I'd now like to introduce you to the story of another woman who participated. So here's Gwynnie, there's a photograph of her, and I want to take us to the video extract in which she talks about her experiences on 4th September 2010.
I had a good sleep, and the next thing I felt something. And then it was really shaky. It's just like somebody holding your house and shake. So, but I didn't know what's going on. Then I said to my husband, "Oh, what's going on? Why are you shaking? Why are you shaking the house?" And he, "Where are you?" And he says, "I'm over here." So I kept on walking, and the next thing I kissed I felt the mist of the window, yeah, on my lips. And then I knew straight away where I was. And then my husband managed to get through to me. Then he held my hand, and then we walked under the door. And I said, "Oh, what's that?" And another big one came, and I've got a library next to my bed, and they all fell on me.
The books?
And the books and the mirror fell on my hands. I got up smartly and landed, and I didn't know that was I landed very hard, but I didn't know. I only concentrated on my hand. Oh, then my husband came, and we came to the sitting, we walked into the sitting room, sitting there, and another big one. There's no lights, no water, nothing whatsoever, and then we sitting there holding hand. No, we can hear each other's voices. And the first time I heard my husband say, "Can we start a prayer?"
The thing that we want to do is to make a difference for the policy interventions so that people who are the decision makers are more likely to be influenced or informed by what we're learning on the ground. Tell us what your learnings were, maybe Liz, about how best to go about that.
Initially, I don't think we thought at all about the policy and the policy issues. But so many of our findings had to do with policy. How do you warn people effectively about tsunami? Because we had people who fled from the coast up onto the hill and stayed there all day because they didn't know whether there was going to be a tsunami or not. So, yeah, there were many issues. When we did begin to think about the policy, there was such a gap, I think, that we were in a really good position to do that. You know, the sort of thing that we can provide information on is, what about the aged? Yeah, yes. You know, how do you deal? How do agencies deal with aged people in an earthquake situation? And we have a lot of information on that we can provide into learning. So, yeah.
I think we also have information relating to social housing and its importance, both at the level of the state, Housing New Zealand, and at the level of Christchurch City Council housing. I think the other thing on which we have information is issues around why the council should continue to provide resources for community development and connections in the community, laying down support for good community networks is a very important way for councils to spend their money, because in the end it's those community networks, it's the street connections that actually make a difference to people's survival in the period after a natural disaster.
If you were back at the beginning again and considering whether to undertake this again, what would be your motivation for doing this?
I think my motivation would have been similar to the motivation at the beginning, which was the value of women's experience, the importance of recording their stories.
Very much for me, it's actually acknowledging women and what they have to offer.
The engagement with the women that we interviewed was one of the more moving experiences I've ever had in terms of research. The sharing, the depth, the harrowing experiences, and those personal details were really deep and moving, and I feel extremely privileged to have been part of that. As a president of National Council of Women Christchurch branch at the time, there was a responsibility, I believed anyway, for the organisation to produce a record, a historical record.
Giving people who wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to have their say, to talk about the things that happen in these extraordinary times on an ordinary sort of daily basis. But most importantly, when my granddaughter and her granddaughter go on the websites in the future, they'll be able to know exactly what it was like. And those gifts are gifts into the future, and that's I think where the value lies. So it's like a time capsule, only it's available every day and forever.
It's there for our grandchildren. So I'd like to say tēnei te mihi aroha ki a koutou katoa. Thanks to all of you.